Imagine a large, undiscovered island teeming with life and mystery. A place unknown to the outside world and inhabited by monkeymen, dinosaurs, and many other strange creatures. A place where, despite its seclusion, civilizations have risen and fallen here. This is the island of Lagobo. As per usual, I'm gonna break this up into segments, starting with, what is this place? But first, I'm going to make more than one video about this place, so this will mostly be a general overview of the setting, with a little bit of history to have some context for the following videos. Anyways, what is Lagobo? So, this is going to be a Lost World type setting. If you don't know what that means, a lost world is usually a kind of fictional place that's secluded somewhere remote or uncharted and has been untouched by the outside world or modern society. They're also usually depicted as legends or myths and contain exotic wildlife or people. Think something like Atlantis or Lemuria, or one of these other works of fiction that I'll show on screen. Lagobo is going to be a large, tropical island near the equator of my world, but I want it to have some diversity with its biomes instead of just being a big jungle or rainforest. There absolutely will be jungles and rainforests, but I want some other stuff in there too because that's fun. For the geography of this place, I'm going to take some inspiration from parts of Central and South America, but also parts of Southeast Asia too. From the rolling hills and colossal mountain ranges to the mangrove swamps along the coast. From the lush rainforests and dense jungles to the lone desert and arid scrublands. From the central flat-top Tepui seen from many horizons to the sacred cenotes full of water which are revered by many of the monkeymen. Lagobo is full of many wonders, some beautiful and some terrible. One of these wonders is the presence of dinosaurs on the island. Usually, I'm not really a fan of dinosaurs mixed with fantasy. I like dinosaurs, and I like fantasy, but together there's something about the combination that just... Maybe it comes off as kind of campy to me. I'm not really sure, but either way, for now, this is going to be the only place where dinosaurs exist in my greater D&D setting. I was inclined to try to make them special and really stand out somehow, since their inclusion in my setting is really abnormal. But the more I think about it, the very fact that they're even in my setting is special. To me, at least. So I'm just gonna have them be on the island doing their thing. There won't be anything crazy with them like the monkeymen riding a T-Rex into battle, and there probably won't be a ton of them since I want the other non-dinosaur animals to be able to thrive and have a claim to their respective territories. Alright, so the main intelligent form of life on this island is a species of monkeymen called the Aggo. Originally, I was inspired to create these sapient apes after watching 2024's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but I didn't want my monkey people to just be chimps that learned to talk. I wanted them to be kind of a hybrid missing link type creature, like the old Planet of the Apes. Apes. No, not that one. Well, maybe a little. That one. However, I don't want them to look like humans in a fursuit either, so I'm gonna give them a slight hunch. In terms of culture, I'm going to pull some inspiration from a bunch of different ancient Mesoamerican and South American societies. I think the next video in this series is going to be about the Aggo specifically, so I won't cover their cultures too in-depth here. With that being said, the Aggo are a pretty developed species, especially when considering that they've gone through their entire existence in complete isolation from the outside world. They have verbal and written language, record-keeping dating back many years, social structures and occupations, cities and great monuments constructed from stone and other materials, and many other aspects of what we would consider civilized life. I don't want the Aggo to be the typical fantasy jungle savage or even the noble savage tropes. I think those are a bit played out and maybe a little problematic. But anyways, the point is that I want these people to have nuance to their cultures. While they might not be the most technologically or societally advanced, these are a people with teachings, art, wisdom, expressionism, and all of the warts and blisters that come with a society capable of higher thinking and learning. Speaking of those warts and blisters, I'm going to cover a piece of history and mythology that will set the stage for the rest of the videos in this series. This is the story of how the first city of the Aggo fell. Our story begins thousands of years ago with the creation myth of this island and its inhabitants. Don't worry, I'll skip a few years. I need to mention that, while the Aggo have different religious interpretations among their subcultures, the majority of them believe in the same initial mythology. It's just what comes after that they disagree on. There are two gods central to this, Huanari and Quatajotawe. I'll go into more detail about them in the video about Aggo culture. Anyways, Huanari is the Aggo god of water, and all things water related, from the endless ocean stretching to the horizon to the rain that falls from the clouds above. Quatajotawe is the god of life and death, though technically they're two gods sharing one body, or maybe just one god with a split personality. That's debated among the Aggo. One aspect, Quata, grows and cultivates life, and the other aspect, Jotawe, reaps and harvests that life when they have served their purpose. In the beginning, according to the Aggo, there was just the endless expanse of the ocean and the creatures that dwelled within. Quatajotawe enjoyed growing and harvesting the ocean life, but they wanted to create something new. So one day they approached Huanari and asked her to lower the ocean so they could grow new life on a large piece of land in the middle of this great aquatic expanse. Huanari agreed to the request on the condition that her water would cover parts of this island and that the new life would have to consume that water to survive. Quatajotawe deemed those to be fair conditions, and thus the ocean was lowered, revealing the new island of Lagobo. Quata began growing new forms of life on this nascent land, plants and animals that couldn't exist in the ocean, from grasses and ferns to massive trees, from small insects to the thunderous dinosaurs, from wild mammals of varying size to the Aggo who would be the ones to learn of and interpret these myths. As promised, we'll skip forward in time to somewhere around 1,000 years ago, when the Aggo have gone from living in scattered villages to establishing their first city, Kalemoku. For its time, Kalemoku was truly a wonder to behold. Compared to the usual huts and shacks and tents that came before, there were now large temples and structures made of stone. These buildings were used to honor the gods and hold public ceremonies and events, and most importantly, act as a monument to their innovation. While this accomplishment inspired awe and envy among the other villages nearby, it also drew the curiosity of a giant serpent named Jekthu. It is said that Jekthu was once a couatl, large serpents with feathered wings and sharp fangs. Now, I should mention that in my setting, couatls are beasts instead of celestials, like in the official D&D lore. They're highly intelligent and considered as sacred or divine beings by the Aggo, but they aren't really regarded as gods and worshipped like Huanari or Quatajotawe, maybe one or two steps below them. The couatls were one of Quatajotawe's favorite creatures and the first of their new creations. So one day they tasked the couatls with spreading special seeds all around the island to help grow the new life. The couatls did as their creator asked, flying around the island and dropping special seeds from above. But one of them, Jekthu, made a strange discovery. Jekthu decided to devour one of these seeds and felt a great energy and rejuvenation. Over the years of the couatls carrying out their sacred task, Jekthu kept consuming the seeds that were given to him. As the rest of his brothers and sisters eventually entered their old age and began returning to Jotawe, Jekthu had shown no signs of aging. Everyone was curious about this, and Jekthu hated to see his friends and family die, so he told them his secret. The rest of the couatls were appalled at this blasphemy. Jekthu pleaded with them to consume the seeds and continue living, but they all viewed death as a necessary conclusion to life, so they refused. Quatajotawe learned of Jekthu's deception, so he was stripped of his wings and cast down from the mountains where the couatls lived. As further punishment, Kwatajotawe granted Jekuthu the immortality that he desired, but instead of subsisting on food and water, he would need to lie and deceive to live. According to the Aggo, this turned Jekuthu into a vile and rotten serpent, devoid of any morality or redemption, so it came as no surprise when he set his gaze upon the first city. It is unclear how he did it, but he acquired powerful and dark magic and began to offer it to the Aggo, attempting to corrupt and influence them in exchange for power. Some took this power and wielded his magic, forming a cult around him, while others fought back against this corruption. The greatest of these defenders was an Aggo by the name of Atsizo. Atsizo was a champion among his people, a warrior poet equally skilled with blade and language. His ideas and philosophies and stories were legendary at the time, and many would think twice before crossing spears with him. Atsizo led the crusade against the snake cult of Jekuthu and was responsible for their temporary downfall, but there was still Jekuthu himself to deal with. Atsizo and the rest of the Aggo knew that Jekuthu was immortal and could not be killed by conventional means, so they plotted to bind and trap Jekuthu into some kind of prison to contain him. Atsizo tricked Jekuthu and lured him into the main temple of Kalemoku, sacrificing his life and binding the vile serpent within the depths of the temple. The method by which Jekuthu was tricked was written down once, but was stolen from the archives by the snake cult. So, for now, that piece of the legend has been lost. The Aggo rejoiced at Jekuthu's capture and mourned the loss of Atsizo, but their victory was short-lived. Jekuthu could still spread his magic throughout the local region around the city, so the Aggo made the difficult choice to abandon their majestic home. They constructed pointed obelisks sticking out of the ground at odd angles around the city to serve as a warning for any settlers to stay away. I'll talk about this in just a bit. They then packed up their belongings and left. I'll cover more of the Aggo's dispersion in the next video, but there was a rift among the people of Kalemoku about where to settle their next city. Some went one way, others went other ways. As for the obelisks, there's this concept called nuclear semiotics, which is a kind of research aimed at creating signs to deter future civilizations away from nuclear waste disposal sites, since that stuff can stay radioactive for a really long time. One of the proposed ideas, I don't think any of them were ever implemented, was to construct a bunch of spikes at odd angles all around the area of the site to instill a sense of unease or dread to deter people and prevent them from building there. I think that's really cool, so I'm gonna borrow that idea for the ruins of Kalemoku. Speaking of which, the first city of the Aggo has long since been abandoned. Jekuthu still remains trapped inside, and his cult are still outcasts. The threat they once posed has been diminished, but they are slowly on the rise, gaining power in the far reaches and depths of Lagobo. And I think that's where this is going to end. Next time, I'll be discussing all things related to the Aggo's culture, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.